2021 is all about change. Sometimes change can bring a lot of good. And that's the case that we're getting right here. Welcome to A Ronan Does Music, where today we're taking a look at Trash Boat's third studio album called Don't You Feel Amazing. I discovered these guys a little over a year ago when their song Crown Shyness came on at a time when I was looking for music to add to my Sad Boy playlist, and that song immediately caught my attention because it's like, hey, it's like clairvoyant, but you're slightly less depressed. It was perfect, really. What I didn't expect, though, coming from this band was a project filled to the brim with an energy I've been growing to move on to more gradually and gradually as time goes on. Angry, pissed off, fuck you-esque music with just a certain spite to it that's just mwah. Crown Shyness as an album at first reminded me of, typical British pop punk bands, Neck Deep, Rome, Junior, etc. But as time went on and I listened to the album more and more, I could tell that there was something beyond the surface there. Like, you get bands like Waster, who a lot of people say that their earlier work was copy and paste Neck Deep. Trash Boat had something that I couldn't quite put my finger on, but I could tell there was something more. There was something different. And that looks like what we're really getting here with this third album. Lead singer Toby Duncan actually noted that the album is a little more of a mixed bag and scattered affair as compared to previous efforts. Here's a direct quote that I'm going to read off my script right here. The album itself is unapologetic and candid wherever it goes. I've taken a far more direct approach lyrically and I want to leave little to the imagination. We're exposed to so much of the world every day now. To comprehend everything going on today is too much for any one person. It's all inconsistent and overwhelming. Each song represents my frustration, desires, struggle, hedonism, pain, and redemption while being bluntly honest about each topic. This is especially evident looking at the songs present here, leaning more towards an almost industrial metal and new metal vibe sometimes. Like, there were some songs on here that made me think to myself, okay, did I turn on Cane Hill by accident? Which I love when I can listen to a new album from a band and I get the vibe of another band from that new material there. It immediately makes me more interested in listening to the rest of the release. It's not even hot, I just really need to shower, but I need to get this content recorded. Isn't that fun? Isn't that great? Let's look at the first single, He's So Good. You get a nice introduction to things with a track that talks about identity as well as feeling like an outcast from those who might view their placement as an LGBT person as negative and unfit. Yes, that's the vibes we're going for with the song here. The verses give you this very clearly painted picture of a family or a group of people, however you want to interpret this, but I believe the direct interpretation here is a family finding out that their offspring, child, that's the word, child, does not feel comfortable with the label, with the identity that they were born with, that they want to, change that, move from that. Coming out of the closet, really, it's already a very hard thing to do, but it's just made especially harder when the people around you who you expect and hope support you don't support you at all. The reactions described in this song to the news of, the person coming out, I mean, it's plain as day. It's described right there in the lyrics. The dad straight up just drops out of the picture. He ducks out of the person's life, just leaves immediately. And the emotions of this kid get fueled into this angry place, this place of distraught, of doubt, of sometimes hopelessness. There's a lot of emotions kind of coming into a melting pot. There's just so much going on. It's a whirlpool that they almost don't know what to do. Which, with all this, I gotta say the obvious here. If a friend or a family member or a partner comes to you and has something to say like, I think I'm trans, I think I'm bisexual, I think I might be gay, etc., so much beyond just those labels, don't react horribly negatively. Like, obviously, beliefs are one thing, but I just felt something crawl up my leg. Beliefs are one thing, personal values and ideas of what is and isn't okay is one thing, but don't go out of your way to give that person such a reaction that they feel less of themselves, that they feel put into a place where all they want to do is just scream and let all the emotion out in a negative way. Negativity produces more negativity. Another serious topic here discussed, not quite the same vein, but a serious topic nonetheless. The song Bad Entertainment basically just confronts media and the idea of producing fear in a very poignant way. Fun fact, the song actually features vocals from Milky Way of Wargasm. Eargasm? I'm having an eargasm from listening to Wargasm. I like the idea that this song really just puts out in the forefront here. Everyone is just comfortable sitting on one side of a conflict. They get limited information. They're told, hey, this is the bad guy, this is who you have to hate. There's so many people who are immediately just like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, we hate that guy, we're scared of this. Fuck that. Nobody does their own research anymore. Nobody goes beyond what they're just being spoon-fed on the TVs or through the newspapers or through articles, so on and so forth. Nobody takes the time to think for themselves anymore. Sarcasm-laden lyrics are one of my favorite things in music, especially with this genre here. You know, pop punk, more of a punk edge with this song here. And Milky Way comes in with some lines that are absolutely exemplify this kind of idea that, like, oh, it's just some kind of game to you? Is that all this is? Listen to these lyrics right here. I got a quote for you. Guided tours of grief, the gilded gates on fire, fire. Old Peter's sipping on blood, but we live life on the wire. A lot of people who represent news or sources of news or media, they tend to sit and spout the immediate reaction, the spit take, if you will, to just get a reaction out of people. They want to immediately give you this panic. They want you to become that panic. They want you to spread that and spread their words, as limited as it is. And this is done either unknowingly or all too knowingly so fucking often now. I'm almost going on a rant right now, but that's the kind of emotion that the song evokes out of a listener. It's the kind of thing that makes you sit there and think, wow, you know, we are in a pretty fucked up world. We are just kind of being told, hey, be scared about this. Hey, hate this person. Hate this group of people. You need to hate these people. That's all you're given nowadays. The point being here, there's a lot of misinformation and just bullshittery happening in news and media in the world, and this song is one of the one of the very loud and vocal attempts at trying to say, hey, fuck you, I won't do what you told me. People may be more than fine with just inhaling a headline and taking it at face value, but you gotta look beyond that. I think compared to Crown Shyness, this album is 1000% a show of how to evolve as a band as a whole over the course of your discography and individually sort of improve your own strengths and explore new strengths. Toby shows off all edges and distances of his vocal range, giving us some more hushed moments like in the pre-chorus of Vertigo, and then exploding on other times like the intro to Silence is Golden. Real talk, Silence is Golden, key track on this album. Listen to Silence is Golden. You need it in your life. If you don't like Trash Boat, you still need it in your life. You can assign a few different genres to this album. You could, single tracks lead into possible labels like post-hardcore, pop punk, punk rock, and so on. And it truly feels like this is an everyman's album coming from Trash Boat. Let's go back to Silence is Golden, though, for a sec, because I think this is really a song worth exploring and worth talking about. The song shifts in between, quick little mood-setting whispers, little quiet moments to coordinated efforts by the whole band to really just pull you in and drag you into this whirlpool of sound. Each member switches something up at some point on their end to make the song stand out, to make their instrument or their part in the song stand out, sound individual, while also complementing each other in a very beautiful way. Once again, Toby Duncan switching it up several times within either half of the track. There's no reason to ignore the work that guitarists Dan Bostock and Ryan Haslott put in, melting perfectly into each other to create a bigger, almost big band atmosphere. Sometimes when you have both a lead guitarist and a rhythm guitarist, they're almost at odds with each other, kind of trying to create a coordinated sound by being the polar opposites of each other. But the way these two manage to make it sound like just one guitar sound is really something that you only see come from bands like more established bands or more bigger bands like Slipknot or Bullet for My Valentine. Hell, you even get some hard-hitting guitar action on the song Sympathy, which is, once again, a very standout song that I don't want to touch too much on. I just think this is one you need to listen to for yourself. Synthetic Sympathy is a sort of example of what a lot of bands in mid to late 2019 try to do, which was you either saw bands reinventing themselves, trying out new sounds, or going back to core sounds. Realistically, either way, just evolving what they did before and switching up majorly in one way or another, making something that stands out not only in their discography, but against their immediate recent material. Bring Me the Horizon and Asking Alexandria did it in very opposite ways, but they did it in fantastic ways, and Trash Boat is getting added onto the list for bands that take their sound, take all the good parts of it, move them onto the next project with more and more varied elements. This track features enough of the old Crown Shyness sound while connecting seamlessly to the overall idea that Don't You Feel Amazing tries to communicate. Synthetic Sympathy talks about again, sort of connecting back to what I was talking about with bands trying to reinvent themselves. Over time, people change. They change for the better, they change for the worse. Sometimes they just change without really changing their position or aspect, but without any shadow of a doubt, over time, things will not be the same. Things will continue to evolve and differentiate over the years. And as you grow and expand your horizons, you run into problems, you run into strife. This track talks about overcoming misery and coming out on the other end stronger despite the efforts of other people or the situations that seem to be stacked against you no matter what. It's a really good example of showing that things will change, but you can come out stronger. You can come out not only in a positive light, but in a better light than you were already standing in. Every track on this album could be considered a standout moment. I mean, you have the very almost Enter Shikari sounding song Idios, at the lyrically impressive Alpha Omega, but there's one more track I really want to talk about and explain to you guys, and that's because of the feeling that it gives off, and that song is Cannibal. Just like Synthetic Sympathy, it retains the same trash mouth. That's a fan song. It retains the same trash boat vibes that you've come to know and love, while also sounding like something completely different from their already established formula. This sounds almost like movie soundtrack ready. The lyrics mainly carry the, I guess you could, just for lack of better terms, the old trash boat sound, while the instruments just become bigger than anything, larger than life at times. I especially like the constant, like, almost throbbing drum beat that really, there's times where even the most simplistic percussive elements can elevate a song and make it feel like something completely different, and that's what the drums here do. I'm actually super pleasantly surprised to see that nobody really resorted to calling anything on this album, but especially this song that felt more mainstream, which is a dirty word at this point. Nobody called this song anything like a sellout, or nobody compared it to how the reaction was to when Bring Me the Horizon Let Out, That's the Spirit, or anything. There was a very positive reaction, not only to the album as a whole, but to this song. I'm really happy to see that. All in all, I'm really regretting not getting to this band sooner in my life. I really wish that I got into them right when their first album came out, but hey, things don't work out. Ever since the mid-2010s, bands have been finding more and more willingness, whether it be from looking at other bands in the scene, colleagues, friends, or just the world around them. A lot more bands are becoming more and more willing to experiment and change things up. And 9 times out of 10, you get a fantastic output when it comes to that. And that is exactly what happens here with this album. Trash Boat introduces new ideas, some of the same ideas, as well as new and exciting concepts that a lot of bands have done previously, but Trash Boat manages to create songs for these concepts that sound individual and they sound brand new. And it's for these reasons and all the reasons I previously discussed that Trash Boat's album, Don't You Feel Amazing, gets an 8.5 out of 10. And that's the review. I'm starting to get very hot in my room, and as you guys know, when I get hot, I get shiny, and nobody wants to see that, so I think I'm going to go shower and hydrate. And with that said, stay hydrated, and have a good day. Bye.